Okay, I get it. We are no stranger to the FNAF franchise. At this point, the staple in Gen Z and Gen Alpha history. I remember when the first game came out when I was in middle school. I played a few nights when it was free access in computer lab. When my assignments were done, of course. I've been a fan of the games ever since. Now, I haven't played any of the other games, but just like everyone else, I've watched Markiplier play all of them. I'm not the type of fan that goes heavy into the lore, mind you. I just love the gameplay and designs that it takes to make these games. But that's just how an artist thinks. Each rendition of Freddy is just so drastically different in each game that it makes me wonder how many more ideas of a single character could be made. And you know what? That's just how animatronics are. Let's take Chuck E. Cheese, for example. He's an iconic mouse in his own right. However, I know the version of him I grew up seeing is different from the one we started with back in the late 70s, and is definitely different from the one we have now. Evolution has progressed through the passage of time, and with our evolving minds, we as humans tend to think of the here and now, and how we can make a better tomorrow. Even if that means changing a mascot for better, or for worse. With all the FNAF games that came out, I have to say my own opinion. I can acknowledge that FNAF 4 was groundbreaking, and it definitely is still a rather fun take on the franchise. But not one game captured my attention the way Security Breach did. Hello, my lovely kittens. It's Perry. And I'll just need to remind you here to just like and subscribe. It's completely free, except for a few seconds of your time, and if you're too good for that, well, fine. I see how it is. But if you actually enjoy my content, this is the best way to let me know. Or if you would like to spend a little more of your time to make a comment, that would also be appreciated. And don't forget to click the bell to be notified for my monthly uploads. Now back to my monologue. Yes, here we are, the purpose of this video. Security Breach is one of the games that has mixed reviews. Some love it, some hate it, and for those that hate it, do so for very valid reasons. Some say the controls are janky and the mechanics are too much for a simple game. Others would say it's not Five Nights if you're only there for one night, which, okay, valid. And I've seen some comments on how the devs were just so lore-focused that they forgot to make a game. And personally, that's how I feel about FNAF 3, but I can see the correlation. But like I said, I'm an artist, and with my art style, it's no wonder Security Breach has my love because of the bright colors, dynamic character designs, and the backgrounds are just so beautiful in its own right. It's like if an arcade from the 80s had a floor plan of a 21st century mall. And it comes to no surprise that I am a Roxy girl. Especially after the DLC. I will protect Roxy with my life. The purpose for my video today is just something a little fun. Just a dumb idea I had in my head that I want to share with you all. And it all started a while back when I came across a rather interesting video by Bisa Bizao. Her channel is filled with art things, but what I saw that came across my suggestions list was her fixing the Funko plush designs of the FNAF characters. And I just absolutely love a lot of her renditions. And she gives these ideas as someone who has no idea how plush making works. And as someone who at least knows the basics of plush making, she has some rather simple but great ideas that could definitely be executed. If we have any avid plush makers here, I'd say go to her channel and analyze her ideas. Maybe try to execute them for yourself if you're interested. But seeing all her attempts made my brain dwell on it till early November. I had the intrusive thought to make my own plushified Security Breach babes. But as we all know, sometimes the art takes a hold of itself, and instead of plushies, I made what I would call FNAF babies. I grew up watching a lot of baby shows. Not like Dora or Wonder Pets, although I did grow up with those. I mean Muppet Babies, A Pup Named Scooby-Doo, and my favorite, Baby Looney Tunes. This was purely by accident, and I know I've talked a lot here, but let's get through with some designs, huh? Before diving straight into the designs, I like to talk about each rendition of the characters during the speed paint process, if you all don't mind. So let's start with everyone's favorite girl, Chica. Now, I'm not going to go too in-depth of the lore of FNAF, mostly due to the fact that Chica is one of, if not the most changed character in FNAF. And because of these changes, it's hard to tell the lineage for me, who don't really care so much about the lore. Dead children haunt the animatronics, that's all that matters. But because of this, I can't really tell you of the game's chronological order. I know the first game is a prequel of the sequel, where the sequel is a sequel of the prequel, where there's a midquel in the prequel of the sequel to a sequel hidden in a prequel. I lost myself there, but you see my point. So my order of the games will be release dates, starting with our first ever baby chicken. Look at her, she's so cute, her widow bib and her widow cupcake. I want a plush of the cupcake, she's so round and squishy. Truly an iconic design, but because she's iconic, there really isn't much to say about her. But the jump from FNAF 1 to FNAF 2? Holy, she is snatched! I get she's a woman, but if the first game gave her a generic silhouette, why did you just cinch her waist like that? Fan service, that's why. But hey, I'm not complaining. I love myself a sexy woman too. I guess it just caught me off guard when it first came out. My only issue with this design is the cupcake. Where is his widow bug teeth? Blasphemy! Withered Chica just looks like that. A withered, run-down scrap of the first game. I will say though, Withered Chica is pretty accurate to what withering looks like. I'll say having both her arms removed is a little on the nose. Would have been best if it was just one, but the missing metal patches on the suit look random enough. I'm also not going to be talking about the fandom renditions, so don't even bother. Now, Nightmare Chica is just fantastic. We know that the fourth FNAF is within the nightmares of the crying child. That doesn't take much to figure out, with all the between nightmare minigames to find the story. It doesn't help that the wiki literally calls them nightmare animatronics. But Nightmare Chica, what could I really say, but she's just a better version of Withered Chica. And this is just a small detail, but I kinda like it, is that her cupcake, again, we go back to the cupcake, its design as well is very much withered, that it's missing the plates that make the wrapper, and just shows the inner skeleton for it. I love that small detail. Now, Rockstar Chica, if I'm honest, is exactly how I'd picture Chica to look. This is what I would say a female chicken character is. Unlike one specific female chicken I grew up with, and even then I absolutely despised her for some odd reason, Rockstar Chica only shows she's female with her makeup. Lipstick, blush, eyeshadow, but her build is like any other animatronic. I'm a little upset that her cupcake was replaced with maracas, but Chica always took me for a Latina anyway, since her name is Bloody Chica! So because of the instrument choice, I'll let it slide. Wonder if they would have gotten away with castanets, though. Now, the Funtime animatronics, I'll say I'm not a huge fan of, and that's only because of the lack of diversity. They are all the same base white with pink and orange accents. There's no creativity there. But to be fair, Sister Location, other than FNAF 3, has to be one of their weakest titles. And that's my opinion, okay? I literally said that Security Breach is my all-time favorite of the franchise, despite me knowing of their flaws and bugs. Don't come at me, cause your opinion is also not fact. Funtime Chica gives us those damn curves again. But this time it's not that noticeable than it is with her FNAF 2 design. And look, she's got her cupcake what the hell is that? That's not a cupcake, that's a muffin with a candle, who are you? Now for the moment some of you have been waiting for. The design I'm currently reimagining for my FNAF Babies line, Glam Rock Chica. As I said in the beginning, Roxy is my favorite animatronic here, but I do actually quite like Chica in this game. Her usual 3 feathers on top of her head now swoosh over to the side into a side pony, which already gives her a new silhouette. Because of the choice of lineup of the animatronics, I can also understand the cupcake being removed here. Keeping the curves again, but this time it's more tasteful for a children's entertainment spot where you don't see her midriff like in FNAF 2, or look like a bikini in Pizza Sim. Some things to mention as well that I didn't add in my redesign is her leg warmers and fingerless gloves. I didn't even add her shoulder pads. This is honestly due to Chica being the first one I sketched and wanted to keep everything simple for a plush version. But as the designs go on, they get more complex and I completely lost the plot. But I wanted to keep them simple because what baby is gonna wear leg warmers and fingerless gloves? What baby wears gloves? All I ever see on babies are mittens. So I did try my best to simplify. I also went against my own critique and exposed her midriff. But my reasoning for this is that I'm not just making them babies, I'm also adding my own ideals into the characters to help create a story. Chica isn't wearing her leotard or even a crop top. She's wearing a 2-piece bathing suit. My Chica loves to swim, raised by ducks, even though she's a chicken. Don't ask me why, that's just what my brain told me. But with Chica's design done, let's move on to Monty Gator. Now, Monty and Roxy are special cases, as they aren't in the earlier games and only ever been in Security Breach. I can't even find concept art, and if Monty's design has changed from a first draft to the Gator we have now. So really, Monty and Roxy sections will be quite fast, which helps because I have talked quite a bit during this video. What I can say, however, is the opinion I have for the character himself. I'm not the biggest Monty fan. But then again, I'm not a huge Scaly either. Only really ever loved snakes, not so much any other reptile. So his design for myself was a little hard to get down. I'm not a huge fan of Monty, also due to the type of personality he was given. He gives pretentious and spoiled. He's got that entitled rock star vibe going, and I'm not a huge fan of that. But somebody had to play that role, I guess. But going off his standard design, it's pretty decent for a gator. I think it's kind of funny that they gave him reptile leather pants, given he himself is a reptile. Did he skin another gator? Explains why he's the only gator animatronic, you self-species murderer! And I'm going to talk about the shattered and ruined designs. I didn't talk about Chica's simply because I've spoken enough about Chica, and her designs for those were pretty standard for Chica anyway, so I didn't really need to talk about them. For Monty, however, I absolutely love the direction went for him here. He is the most damage of the animatronics, and I know it's because of the character he is. He loves to let his anger take control, smash and break things when he doesn't get his way, and as a result of that, he himself becomes so damaged, he loses his fucking legs! His shattered design is just so cool to me, seeing just how much he's done, and to himself, and yet the refusal to quit. He would still crawl after the player like it's your fault he became this way. And the design they gave him for the Ruined DLC? It's so simple to think of in hindsight, yet it's still just so clever. Because he's the most damaged, he's gonna be the one to decay quicker, leaving him only in his endoskeleton. This, in my opinion, is the best way to tell a story through character development. The irony of his situation to become a monster he is from the inside is just, chef's kiss. Now for my baby Monty, I must add my own thoughts. Just like I had different thoughts for Chica, thinking her to be a beach baby, always wanting to go swimming, I had the thought for Monty. Granted, my thought is much more closely related to who he is in Security Breach. He gives off pretentious sidekick like Daffy Duck from Looney Tunes. Huge main character syndrome, but failing at whatever he does with his matter-of-factly attitude. So, I gave him a blanket cape, thinking he is the hero when really he just causes more of a mess. I still kept his star glasses and his mohawk, even having the hawk larger on his baby form just because I thought it would be cute. And he's not wearing pants. But when in cartoon history have we seen the male character wear pants? Literally, only Mickey Mouse wears red shorts, but Donald is just free-balling it out here in his sailor shirt, the perv. But with Monty done, let's move on to the third and final design in this video, Roxy Wolf. With Roxy having the same issue Monty had, no concept art I can find to share the evolution. All I can say about Roxy is, again, she's my favorite in the lineup for this game. To start, she's got the vanity of herself being the end-all be-all. She gives friendship is magic rainbow dash, wanting to be the best, but when she's not, it hurts her ego to the core, crumbling her down to self-loathing. And when you maim her in the raceway, as she hunts you, you can hear her crying over her disfigurement. To Roxy, appearances are everything. Taking a look at her appearance, I can personally say that I think there's too much. With her being my favorite, I can still point out the design flaws. And I think the most obvious flaw is her green streak. Not that it's a bad thing, but it's the only thing in her design that's green. Could have made something else to her that was green to tie it in, or just have it be red or purple, since those colors are already prominent in her design. Or just not color it at all and leave it white like the rest of her hair. I just personally feel that green streak is an eyesore, and well, okay, yes, it does draw attention to the face, but not in the best of ways. Could have made her makeup green? Something else that didn't make it stick out like a sore thumb. I get that her claws are also green, but those are just very small that it's not even noticeable. But other than that, I really do love her design. Her fur isn't too dark of a gray, you can't see her features. It's not so vibrant that it makes her glow. And I'm a fan of the symmetry-asymmetry. All four limbs having the zebra print, but her outfit has strategically placed designs that offsets her palette. Which I personally take it as her need to be perfect, but still have those inner flaws to fix. Now her shattered design. Oh my poor girl. The definite thing we notice are the missing eyes, but being hit by a car can clearly cause more damage. Her legs and arms have the exposed endoskeleton, but one side more than the other due to the position of impact. The way her hair is also tangled into a mess of its own makes me believe it's really hair. Or at least faux fur and not placed strands made from metal like Chica's 3 head feathers had always been. And it just gets worse in her ruined design. Her face is just completely gone, where you can see the actual sockets for where her eyes and muzzle would be placed. Her hair nearly just gone besides maybe 4 strands. And I also love the attention to detail. Looking side by side on the shattered and ruined designs, the thing that makes the ruined worse in a good way is the purposeful deterioration of the outer flesh. Like in Shattered, her left leg is clearly more damaged than her right. And the ruined design emphasizes that. It's not that they just tore her apart more all willy-nilly. There is purpose to the chaos. Now, for my redesign, like I said, she gives off Rainbow Dash vibes. But because she also holds a lot of vanity, I thought to combine the personality of both the Gen 5 Dash and the Gen 3. If you know, you know. If you don't, I grew up with the Gen 3 ponies, and that Dashie was like rarity in Gen 5. So, I'm still gonna make her full of herself, want her to feel like she's on top of it all. And because she nearly matches Monty's pretentious energy, these two could be the ones to butt heads the most. However, Roxy could still be supportive, cheering on her friends when she knows the importance of the task to the others. I drew her with an excited expression as she stands there with eyes sparkling like she's getting so pumped up for the winning prize. Now, this was also a last-second thought, because, again, the sketches are more plush-like and not baby-like, but I decided to make her a diaper. I stared at the lined sketch, and she have no bottoms on. It would look fine on a plush, but doesn't really sit well with me for a baby. And yes, I know, Monty doesn't have one. I'm probably not going to make one for the other 3 next video. I guess I'm just conditioned by cartoons to give girls something to wear. I think it looks fine. I don't want it to be boring white diaper, cause that's one thing Roxy is not. Boring. So instead of pins, I gave it buttons to hold it up. And that, my kittens, is Roxy finished in my baby lineup. Well, you made it to the end of this video. Wow, don't you have a life? I kid, of course. I appreciate everyone coming in and seeing my vision. I am beyond grateful for every single one of you here. And I hope you all had a wonderful new year. And please, tell me what you think of my editing style in this video. I've been watching a lot of Categories lately, and I guess some of his humor rubbed off on me. But if you all enjoy it, maybe I can continue doing that? But as I say in every video, I hope all my kittens wake up every morning with fruit juice and sugar. And come back next time to see my designs for Freddy, Bonnie, and Foxy.